Welcome to ISE's FX Options Weekly Outlook, a weekly outlook on the US dollar versus the major currencies, hosted by Jason Ayres, a top industry instructor and founder of OptionSource.net. Learn to trade your views on the strength or weakness of the US dollar.
Well, hi there and welcome to the ISE FX Options Weekly Outlook for the 13th to the 19th of October. I'm your host, Jason Ayres, founder and president of OptionSource.net. As always, we're going to start with a look at our weekly U.S. dollar index. This is a great way to gain some perspective as to how the U.S. dollar has been trading against a basket of currencies. While the U.S. dollar continues its rally against most major currencies, we were suggesting last week that despite the clear strength of the dollar, the 80 to 82 focal zone remained a key area for possible resistance. Although not visible on the weekly chart, a daily snapshot clearly illustrates a consolidation within this zone. With a push through this range, the window is now open for a continuation into the 85 to 86 focal area, representing a measured extension of the preceding uptrend and a retracement level measured using the 3-year downtrend that the US dollar has been in. Our MACD suggests that we still are trending strongly to the upside. Our RSI is supporting that with a continuation in the momentum in that direction. However, as we know, nothing moves in a straight line, and with such a huge move on this dollar index against most major currencies, logical thing to expect is a possible rejection or retracement within this zone, which would likely see us play down into the 78 to 80 focal area identified here on our price chart. All things considered, let's now take a look at our ISE FX options pair values, the first of which being the CDD, the US versus the Canadian dollar. The US dollar has clearly gone parabolic against the Canadian dollar. We suggested that with a break above the 107 to 108 focal zone that we identified last week, we would likely see prices play into the 110 to 111 area as our next logical target to the upside. Evidently, the price action clearly broke through that to find itself testing the 119 to 121 focal zone, which actually represents a high from 2007. Now at this point, as you can see, prices clearly rejected off this area as of Friday, with the next logical target to the downside for any natural retracement now being into that 112 to 114 focal zone identified here. Although our MACD still suggests a very strong trending to the upside, our RSI is actually approaching our overbought territory, suggesting that momentum is slowing and also supported by this clear rejection out of that 119 to 121 zone to close down at the 118 level on Friday. The YUK continues to march to the beat of its own drum as the US versus the Japanese yen was forming a sideways triangle last week, representing a certain amount of indecision. It was suggested that a break in either direction would likely result in a very significant move. With prices breaking down, we pushed through that 103.5 to the 104 area to play all the way into the 98 to 100 focal zone. Now, with that said, we now see a certain amount of consolidation taking place here, as it appears as though a reversal bar has formed. Although our MACD suggests that we are still in a continued downtrend, our RSI shows a certain amount of loss of momentum to the downside, so we could look at possibly a retracement back up into the 103.5 to the 104 area, resulting in a nice opportunity to possibly buy some call options to take advantage of this little bit of backfilling. All right, let's take a look at the EUI, the US versus the Euro. We suggested that a break above the 71 to 72 focal zone would likely play into the 75 to 76 area, which was a measured move based on the bigger picture trend to the upside starting back in mid-September. Now, our MACD suggests that we are still in a very strong trend to the upside. Our RSI is also suggesting that there is some continued momentum, although we see it tapering off a little bit based on that previous high back the week of October 6th. Now, any push through the 75 to 76 area is likely to meet with some resistance or some consolidation in at the 77 to 78 focal zone, which is a measured extended move of this preceding trend. With prices seemingly rejecting at the 75 to 76, it is not unlikely to see a little bit of backfilling take place over the next week, considering how significantly the US dollar has gained strength against the euro. A logical target to the downside and a natural retracement level would see us play into that 71 to 72 focal zone. Well, the U.S. versus the British pound seen here in our pair value BPX also behaved as anticipated. We thought that a break above that 57 to 57.50 focal zone would likely play into the 58.5 to 59, where we can see now that as of Friday we're showing a little bit of indecision. Now, if we look at our MACD, again, much like the euro, we do see that the U.S. dollar is maintaining some strength and some notion of a continuation to the upside here. Our RSI also suggests that we still have some momentum in that direction. Our next logical target to the upside would be up in that 61 focal zone. What we have to be cautious of is this indecision here and at the 58.5 to 59. A rejection in this area is likely to see us play all the way back down into the 57 to 57.5 area. Well, we've seen a huge move for the US dollar against the Australian dollar, which is illustrated here in our FX options pair value symbol AUX. Last week we were looking at a break above that 126 to 127 focal zone to meet with a little bit of resistance in at the 134, 135. We clearly blew right through that focal zone and now find ourselves playing up to the 160 to 165 area, which represents a bigger picture target. Our MACD suggests a very strong trend to the upside clearly. Our RSI actually suggests, though, however, that we are in the what's known as an overbought territory, suggesting that momentum may be slowing down. That being the case, we may very well see a little bit of retracement or backfilling, which could see us play into this 142, 145 focal zone before any continuation in strength of the US dollar against the Aussie dollar takes place. Folks, with that said, this has been your ISE FX Options Weekly Outlook for October 13th to the 19th. As always, I'm your host, Jason Ayres, founder and president of OptionSource.net. Thanks for joining me this week. We'll see you here next.
Thank you for participating in this week's session. Please join us again next week. For more information about Jason Ayres and to sign up for free FX Options trade alerts, just visit www.optionsource.net. To learn more about ISE FX options, including our weekly webinar series, visit us at www.ise.com/fx. ISE FX options can easily be traded through all options-enabled brokerage accounts. These exchange-listed securities are cash-settled in US dollars and have a European-style exercise.